For the first couple of years, everyone worked on scaling up the data, right? So they just get more and more data. Oftentimes, they would actually steal data from the dark web, copyright books, write movies, write stuff, and they would claim like, no, 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 we didn't download anything copyrighted, but they did. We all know that. And then they built up GPT-3, which was a huge improvement. And then from 3 to 4, they've been generating data. But what they found is that generating data doesn't give you this huge leap, right? Because it's basically eating its own vomit.
Welcome to Practical AI, everybody. My name's Jeff. I'm here with Peter Lin. Practical AI is brought to you by Pocket AI. Pocket AI is a visualization tool that allows you to prune your models without any loss in accuracy. Visualizing your model weights is like a brain surgeon being able to find individual neurons and removing them without harm to the brain. Similarly, Pocket AI allows you to analyze and prune the weights in your model. Using Pocket AI, we have proven we can select the right backbone model, get that model to actually work, make that model more stable, increase a model's accuracy, decrease the size of a model by up to 60%, and put smaller models into production for half the cost. Finally, you can be done with endless brute force training and new model trials. Pocket AI allows you to perform brain surgery on your existing models, making them not only smaller, but better. And we are on Spotify, so you can always find us there. Be sure to listen to this on 2x speed if it's not already set up that way. You'll enjoy it a little bit better since Peter and I talk pretty slow. Peter, want to talk two topics today. We're going to talk about Ilya and OpenAI. But first, we have a story about the federal government. The U.S. federal government has allowed Nvidia H200 chips to finally ship again.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
So back in Biden era, there was a restriction on exports on GPUs because they were afraid that China was going to get ahead, which is a reasonable fear. Um, but really, for the average consumer, it doesn't really matter. It really only matters for people that are in power. And basically, they tried to, restrict it, but China still managed to build all these cool open source models, DeepSeek, Kling, Hilo. I mean, the list goes on, right? So basically, it hasn't worked. And Nvidia has lost market share in China. So now the government wants to let H200s sell again, but they're going to collect a 25% tax.
Yeah, we see it's like a form of a tariff almost, or a reverse tariff, where they're going to
Yeah.
basically take a rake on anything that's sold in China. It seems like if I had to, it seems like Oracle had a bad week. OpenAI continues to have a bad week, but surprisingly, Nvidia kind of had a bad week. Maybe the last couple weeks. Are they at risk of sort of losing their ability to hang on?
Well, I mean, clearly they're still the leader, right? Because they're still at like 90, like 95, 98% of the market share. But everyone's coming after them. The new TPU is coming after them. AWS Training is coming after them. Meta is coming after them. Microsoft has a new software framework that's supposed to let you run on any GPU without using CUDA. Then we have Cerebras, which is a wafer scale chip. Then we have Huawei, and we have a couple of European startups. Um, and that's just to handle this grok. So really, right now, everyone's gunning for Nvidia.
Yeah, and so they're getting a lot of pressure, and then probably being out of the market in China even for a brief amount of time didn't help. I mean, like you said,
It's bad.
China innovated. They couldn't wait for more chips, so they figured out how to
Mhm.
do stuff with less, and out comes these great vision models, these great video models, these great DeepSeek,
Yeah,
right? So it seems like the damage has kind of already been done. It's like, what's the point?
yeah, it's basically been done. I mean, again, if you go back to 2 summers ago when the former CEO of Google said, "Hey, we're still way ahead of China, right? And then we fast forward to last summer, and then it's like, actually, we're falling behind now. So
Yeah, that was like, I don't remember the exact dates, but it was less than 6 months, I wanna say,
yeah, it was
right?
Eric Schmidt was like, "Oh, we're still ahead by a couple of years." I'm like, "No, you're wrong."
All right, let's move over to, Ilya. First of all, just tell us who Ilya is in the industry again, just for those that don't remember, and, kinda what he's saying.
Yeah, so he was the lead researcher at OpenAI. He's famous because he was kind of the earlier neural networks guys. He went to kind of the well-known universities, studied with Jeff Hinton. So he's been in this game for a long time. He's a hardcore ML engineer researcher. And then he left or was kicked out or a combination of both. No one knows, right?
There was
Back at
kind of a
OpenAI.
board issue, right? Where Altman was out and Ilya was
Yeah,
in, and sudden Ilya was out and Altman somehow managed to scavenger his way back onto the
yeah,
board.
something. So now he's at Super Safe Intelligence, SSI. And he was interviewed by Dwarkesh, I think a couple weeks ago. And finally, Business Insider picked up on that podcast and cherry picked one of the quotes out of the 2-3 hour podcast where he said, "It's back to research again," which is true.
But he's saying that because, he's seeing that there's either that we've either hit a limit or there's a problem, and what is that limit? What's happening? Why do we have to go back to research? Not that we're gonna always cycle through research, but why is
Yeah.
he saying this right now?
He's saying that because for a long time, so for the first couple of years, everyone worked on scaling up the data, right? So they just get more and more data. And oftentimes they would actually steal data from the dark web, like copyrighted books, copyrighted movies, copyrighted stuff. And they would claim like, no, 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 we didn't download anything copyrighted, but they did. We all know that.
Mhm.
And then they built up GPT-3, which was a huge improvement. And then from 3 to 4, they've been generating data. But what they found is that generating data doesn't give you this huge leap, right? Because it's basically eating its own vomit.
Yeah. He makes a statement, or implies anyway, that data is finite, which, is kind of counterintuitive, at least to me, because you would think that data, if we can synthetically generate it, is infinite, right? Why does he kind of use this type of terminology when talking about data? What's he really saying here?
What he's saying is when you generate data with the LLM, it's only going to regurgitate what it learned from. And in the machine learning world, there's a thing called distribution of data, which is how diverse is the data. You want the most diverse data set because that will give you the best model. But the reality is most of the text on the internet is very similar. And as a result, the things it wants to generate are the things with the most signal, which means the most common average thing is what it's going to learn on. And the things that are less common, it's not going to, the signal for those are much lower. And as you generate data and you train on that data, all those little edge cases become less and less and less, so that now it's just the most strong signals that are being boosted. And so, yes, you can generate infinite amount of data, but after a certain point, it's never going to improve. It's just going to spit out the same thing. And we see from research, it actually collapses the model after a certain point.
It's like a copy of a copy of a copy at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Like the movie with Michael Keaton, Multiplicity, where
Yeah.
he went and he copied himself. And then the first copy is like, you know what? I can copy myself again. So he copies
Yeah.
himself. Then now there's three. And they're like, you know what? We need more copies. So they copy another one. And each one gets worse and worse and worse
Yeah.
because the copies keep copying kind of the things that are bad and amplifies those things. And then by the fourth and fifth copies, you're like, what happened to them?
So from Ilya's perspective, when he's talking about finite data, he's kind of making a distinction between the difference of data, the uniqueness of it, and we've kind of talked through this a little bit. The creativity, models can't be creative, and so if it's creating data within a certain parameter of data
Uh-huh.
that it's seen before, it's essentially more of the same. So it's getting that signal again and again and again.
Yeah.
And we don't think that it's probably even possible for it to create something outside of what
I
it's
mean,
seen before.
yeah. We know that from 20 years of research, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
And only a human can do that, right?
Right. So like I think what last month, Karpathy was interviewed by Dwarkesh. And he said something similar to that, which is right now, transformers memorize too much data. And that causes it to not generalize.
Okay, so this is a good pivot into Ilya saying this about research. He's saying this about data because he's saying something about the transformer architecture. And what is
Yeah.
that, Peter?
Well, that is, it can only learn from the data that it has, and it can't go beyond that.
So are we hitting a wall in AI
Oh
where
yeah, definitely. I mean, if we take an analogy in music, right? It's just like the example would be the band Polyphia and Tim Henson. So Tim Henson started learning blues, rock, metal, thrash. Then at some point, the kid was like, "I'm just gonna do this like my own thing." And so now he's playing like this kind of guitar music that no one's ever done. And even the kind of the old timers, Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, all the old shredders from the 80s and 90s were like, this kid's doing something amazing. He's doing things that no one's ever done. Right. And so that's the thing that we want models to do, but it can't today.
yeah, it's not going to go outside the edges that it's been to?
No, it's not. Yeah.
And so the punchline of this story is that for us to go to the new horizons of AI and go to places that we want to go that we're not able to get to now, there's going to be a different type of architecture involved with transformers in order to
Yeah.
get there.
It has to. Yep. It's
And do
needed.
you have any idea what that looks like?
No one knows.
That's why
No
we have
one
to go back to research, right?
knows. Yep.
Okay. Good. Well, it's something we've talked about quite a bit, so we kind of know this. It's good to hear the higher ups mention this from time to time, and need to start seeing some new ideas. Lacoon's working on stuff, and
Yeah.
there's other
Barley's
architect.
working on stuff. Ely's working on stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and then probably Apple and Google and all that probably have stuff going on as well.
The big guys, I think less
Well, good.
so.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come back next time with another topic. Thanks, Peter, for doing this. Again, you can find us on Spotify. And if you have thoughts or questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks, everybody.